Hello, my students. Hope you are fine. Today I'm going to explain lesson 2 for this unit, which is talking about the lunar eclipse. I told you before that in the solar system, the planets, like Earth, revolve around the Sun in oval orbit, and the Moon revolves around the Earth in smaller oval orbit. During these rotations, the Earth comes between the Sun and the Moon on one straight line, hiding the sunlight from the Moon, forming lunar eclipse phenomenon. So, if I ask you, what's meant by lunar eclipse? Lunar eclipse, an astronomical phenomenon which occurs when the Sun, the Earth, and the Moon are nearly on one straight line, and the Earth in the middle. So, again, lunar eclipse, an astronomical phenomenon which occurs when the Sun, the Earth, and the Moon are nearly on one straight line and the Earth in the middle. Let's start an exercise about the previous part. The first question, what happens if? Number 1. The Earth comes between the Sun and the Moon on one straight line. The answer? The lunar eclipse will happen. Question number 2. Complete. Number 1. Space is the phenomenon that occurred when the Earth comes between the Sun and the Moon. Yes, the answer. Lunar eclipse is the phenomenon that occurs when the Earth comes between the Sun and the Moon. Now I'm going to talk in details about the lunar eclipse and no more information. The lunar eclipse occurs twice per year, and in 1982 is the only time in which a lunar eclipse occurred 3 times. It occurs also in the middle of the lunar month, at the full moon phase, when the Earth hides all the sunlight or part of it from the moon. The lunar eclipse doesn't require precautions to observe it. This is because it doesn't harm eyes when looking at it. The duration can last for more than 2 hours. Okay, let's start an exercise for the previous part. Give reason for the lunar eclipse occurs in the middle of the lunar month. Yes, the answer. Because in the middle of the lunar month, the Earth lies between the Sun and the Moon. Question number 2. Complete. Number 1. The lunar eclipse occurs in the space of the lunar month when the moon phase is space. The answer? The lunar eclipse occurs in the middle of lunar month when the moon phase is full moon. Number 2. The lunar eclipse occurs at the rate of space per year. The lunar eclipse occurs at the rate of 2 times per year. Number 3. Space eclipse doesn't require precautions or special devices to observe it. The answer? Lunar eclipse doesn't require precautions or special devices to observe it. Number 4, the duration may last for more than space. The answer, the duration may last for more than 2 hours. Okay, of course, in lunar eclipse, we have the two shadow area, which are Umbra and Penumbra. Who can remember the meaning of the word Umbra? Okay, Umbra is the dark inner shadow area. What about the meaning of Penumbra? Okay, Penumbra is the faint outer shadow area. Here we have two types of lunar eclipse, which are total lunar eclipse and partial lunar eclipse. First, total lunar eclipse. It occurs when the whole moon enters umbra of the earth. So, total lunar eclipse occurs when the whole moon enters umbra of the earth. Partial lunar eclipse, the second type, occurs when a part of the moon enters penumbra or umbra area of the earth. So partial lunar eclipse, only part of the moon enters umbra area of the earth. During the start of total lunar eclipse, the color of the moon tends to be red. Do you know why? For sure, the reason for this color is that the Earth's atmosphere doesn't absorb infrared rays coming from the sun and refract them on the moon. So when I ask you give reason for, in total lunar eclipse the moon tends to be red, the answer will be due to the infrared rays that can't be absorbed from the Earth's atmosphere. When the whole moon enters the semi-shaded area, which is penumbra of the Earth, the moonlight turns to be faint without being eclipsed. Now we are going to compare between the two astronomical phenomena, which are solar eclipse and lunar eclipse. We are going to start with the solar eclipse. Solar eclipse occurs when the moon comes between the sun and the earth on one straight line, while lunar eclipse occurs when the earth comes between the moon and the sun on one straight line. Solar eclipse always occurs in the morning, while lunar eclipse occurs at night. Solar eclipse requires precautions and special devices to look at it, while lunar eclipse doesn't require any precautions or special devices to look at it. Solar eclipse causes serious harm to the eyes when looking at it, while lunar eclipse doesn't cause any harm to the eyes when looking at it. solar eclipse duration doesn't exceed 7 minutes and several seconds, maybe 40 seconds, while the duration of lunar eclipse can last for more than 2 hours.